As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the weekend?
I was kind of split on this one, so I'll offer it up to you. Who is the big winner of the college football playoff? Is it Texas or is it Penn State? I thought both of those teams ended up getting a very, very favorable draw. Texas has Clemson at home, who got the 12 seed, and then if they win, they play Arizona State. Penn State has SMU at their place, and then Boise State in the second round if they win. Now, maybe both of those are bad draws. We don't know, but if you had to pick two teams that you wanted to play in round two, you would probably pick Arizona State and Boise State over Oregon and Georgia.
You think? I when you look at the entire bracket, if Penn State's offense is able to play the way that they did against Oregon, you have to feel really good about Penn State's chances, not only making the semifinal, but going and playing for a national title because we don't know what's wrong with Carson Beck.
Right.
You've got that, and remember, it'll be the Indiana Notre Dame winner playing Georgia to get to the semifinal. I, if you're Penn State, I think you got to feel really good about your path to going and playing for a national title. No, it's not easy. Nobody's path in this thing is easy, but you look at Texas's overall path to the title game, like they're going to have to go through Oregon or Ohio State or Tennessee. Like they're going to have to go through one of those to get to the title game. While Penn State could get Georgia with their backup quarterback, which is still a really good team, but I don't know. It feels like Penn State was the big winner of how this weird bracket was laid out.
I agree. Yeah, and I mean, I guess I wasn't shocked that it happened, but is is Texas, are they really, should they really have been the 5 seed?
I when everyone last night when everyone was saying Texas was going to be the 7, I disagreed. I thought they were going to be the 5 seed. I think people underestimate how much respect the people on the committee have for what Georgia is.
Yeah.
And the only team they've lost to is Georgia.
Yep.
And you look at like Notre Dame, their loss is just it's the most head scratching thing in college football this season. But
It's almost so bad that you can't really hold it against them.
it's just
Does
like,
that make
wait, what
sense?
was that?
It's like just it's such an anomaly that, but yeah, I don't know. It was, I guess I was like, Texas is very fortunate to get the 5 seed that they didn't really beat anyone. I mean, the A&M win is a good win, beating them at their place.
But
Uh,
Notre Dame, that they went and did the same thing, right?
right.
And then their next best win is Louisville.
Yep.
So it's not like Notre Dame has a bunch of top 25. Like it's not like they've racked up a bunch of top 25 wins. Maybe if USC would have been a better team this year, that maybe
Right.
that could have been the differentiator for them. But they ended up playing a really close game with USC to finish the season. And I I think the committee did a good job of not punishing teams for what happened in their conference title game.
Yeah.
And I think that's the right thing to do.
Yep. I agree. Um, I'll say this: Clemson is not going to be an easy out for Texas. They better figure out their red zone offense if they're going to beat Arizona State.
Arizona State's going to score some points.
Yeah. And given, they've got that extra time, they don't play until January 1. And I, they are going to have some stuff schemed up and ready. Kenny Dillingham is.
It is goofy that we just watched SMU and Clemson play. Clemson won the game, and Clemson's the 12 and SMU's the 11.
Yeah,
Just a little goofy, right?
it
Just
is.
just a little goofy.
If you're Texas, who would you rather play right now, SMU or Clemson?
Ooh,
I I think it's Clemson.
Jennings is a bit of a wild card,
That's the thing is that
but
a
Clemson's D
quarterback.
line, SMU's D line, though they got a good group. I mean, they don't
Yeah,
have a bunch of slappies, so
hard to say, I guess. It's just a
I
different dynamic.
I think you'd rather play SMU, right? Just because Dabo they've been on the big stage a lot.
Yeah.
SMU, there's gonna be a certain nervousness stepping on that stage. It's just natural, right? The guys for
And
Clemson,
you're playing a team whose last time walked off the field, they walked off with a loss. I mean, that I don't know how you quantify that, but I think there's something there.
does your loser come from this as well? I'm assuming.
Yeah. Alabama. I don't What did you think was going to happen?
I had said this on here. Despite what Ward Manuel told us last week, where he made it sound like, hey, if SMU lost, they were going to be out. I was, for whatever reason, confident that this committee was not going to punish teams for losing their conference title games.
Unless it was bad, which is interesting because the way the game started for SMU, they were probably on the outside looking in. And the way it finished, they still lost, but they were in. If anything, that's a moral victory, right?
The classic quality loss, baby.
Yeah.
It was, hey, win or, and I think we even mentioned it on the last episode. Hey, lose on a last second field goal. What happens? And I think they got it right, man. No one's going to argue that SMU is a more talented team than Alabama. No one's going to do that. But Alabama, they had some bad losses this year.
2 6-6 losses. And here's the thing. Uh, you, there's going to be people that are pissed that Alabama's not in. There's no doubt. And, I do think that you have a chance for a blowout. Like, I think Alabama Penn State would be a more compelling matchup. Um, and I think that it would probably, I don't know who's going to win that football game, but as you look at it, you would say that even though Alabama has the 3 losses, that is probably a better matchup for Alabama than it is for SMU. But what can you say when you got 3 losses? You know what I'm saying? You kind of lose any real traction. You're hoping to get in, but if you don't, you lost 3 times. You don't have that much of a that you don't have a really solid base to stand on.
I thought I was having trouble following what Nick Saban was trying to say about scheduling non-conference games when that wasn't Alabama's issue.
Well, I think what he was saying was this, that if you would have taken into consideration the strength of the schedule more so, SMU wouldn't have been ranked as high as they were before conference championship weekend. And because they were ranked as high as they were, that's ended up what keeping them in. And it's not their fault, but they were probably ranked too high to begin with.
He was just mad Alabama wasn't in,
Right.
which is fair. He's Nick Saban. He's Mr. Alabama. But
Mr. Alabama.
I does anyone have a problem that is not associated with Alabama? Do we think anyone has a big problem that they got left out for SMU other than be interesting to see what Greg Sankey's reaction is to this?
I know. They got 3 teams in instead of, it felt like all along you were going to get 4. Some at a couple of points it looked like more than 4. I would almost say, like, if you're looking at what would be in the best matchup for Penn State, I think South Carolina would have been the most dangerous team to put in as a 3-loss team.
I do not have an argument for that.
Because Sellers, I mean, you got to factor in a young quarterback and how much better he got from early in the season till how they finished.
There's no doubt. And then a lot of dudes on that defense.
A lot of dudes.
So, but they're not in, which is unfortunate because I do think they're playing like one of the 12 best teams in college football at this point in time. But hey, you three losses, you got three losses. I Indiana Notre Dame's fascinating.
Yeah. I,
Uh,
Let me say this real quick. I think one of the things that would be easy to do and should happen that can help clear out some of this stuff is there needs to be one conference championship or one non-conference game that is how you finished last year in your conference, ranked all the way to the bottom. There should be the number one SEC team plays the number one Big Ten. Boom, 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 all the way down. Number one ACC plays the number one Big 12. Boom, 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 all the way down. And like if you do that, then you can at least see how some of these conferences match up to against each other. And maybe you do it because the early on's not really a good clear picture of what people are. Maybe you do it later in the year. Like there's a designated weekend that is like non-conference weekend where you have those crossover games.
that it's too good of an idea. They'd never do it.
I know.
It would make them too much money.
I know. But it's like if you want to like because then if you're like Indiana this year finished number 3 and they had a bad like if you have an easy schedule, it doesn't let you out of I mean, I guess you never know what people are from year to year, but like Texas had a super easy schedule and it looks like they're going to have an easy schedule again next year. But right now they would be playing Penn State next year in the non-conference. Like that is it helps avoid some of those discrepancies in strength of schedule.
It would also just be fun.
Yeah, I agree.
I still think the college football playoff is an entertainment product. I think whether they end up adding a couple more teams to where there's no buys or there's only two teams that get a buy, we'll see what it ends up looking like. But the perfect version of the college football playoff for me is the highest ranked team that has a first round game gets to pick their opponent. And then you go down the list.
Yeah. Well, I always wondered, like, you remember how the NFL used to reseed after, or not reseed, but
which brings me to my next point, Ted. The second round, you have a team or two or four, whatever, that have a bye. The number one seed gets to pick their opponent.
Yeah.
That's why you want to be the number one seed.
Or they just play the lowest ranked team that advanced. Like
I think it'd be way more fun if they got to pick their opponent.
Right.
Just from an entertainment factor. Like,
sure.
We have chosen you. We think we can beat you. Let's do this. Like there's a certain entertainment that comes with that, especially if the team you pick ends up beating you. The reaction that team would have, oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah, if I mean, I could just picture like whoever winning whatever round game being like, we want Georgia at the 50-yard line after the game, right? Bring us Georgia.
And then the head coach is like, whoa, no.
No.
That's not what we talked about.
We want SMU.
Yeah, that's not what we talked about, guys. It'd just be if you want this to be an entertainment product, let's make it as entertaining. Yeah, all out entertainment. Come on.
I like it.